calling in from Germany, we have Rachel Tsateri. Thank you for joining us, Rachel.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for inviting me.
Firstly, tell us, what's your role in the ELT industry?
Well, I've been involved in ELT for about 9 years. I started teaching when I completed my CELTA. Since then, I've actually lived and taught in 5 countries. I've taught students of all ages and levels. I've completed my Delta, the Train the Trainer course, and started a master's in professional development for language education. And now I'm also involved in teacher training. I started about 2 years ago as a volunteer first for the Syrian Youth Assembly and Refugee Ed. And I'm now also a trainer working with Notting Hill College in the UK and Language Ed in Italy. I also have a blog, the TEFL Zone, so I'm a blogger as well. And I am a member of an IATEFL member and a committee member of IATEFL Pronsig. I help them with social media and I learn from pronunciation experts. And I'm also a Delta trainer in training at the moment, which is actually the most exciting thing happened for me right now. And by the end of next summer, I'll be an assistant course tutor on Delta courses with ALS in Athens.
Right. And you've also, of course, you've just published an article in the September-October issue of MET, and it's about your experience analysing teacher talk. What got you thinking about this topic?
Well, when I started Delta, I really started thinking, about this obsession I used to have with reducing my teacher talk, with being like a classroom manager or a conductor waving sticks, not speaking, almost not allowed to speak, timing myself. How fast do I give instructions? How fast do I present language? So when I did Delta, I just read more articles and then I discovered this term quality teacher talk. So I really started thinking about the quality rather than the quantity, what I say, recording my lessons, reading the transcript, and then finding out what it is I'm saying and the purpose, of my talk and whether it's beneficial or not for my learners. So that was definitely Delta that actually made me think about and question this QTT versus TTT concept.
Yeah, okay. And so what's an example of the value or the opportunity provided by quality teacher talk?
Well, one thing, for example, that I've changed is that I started planning parts of my teacher talk. I can start my lesson with an anecdote or, a short anecdote where I talk to my student about something that happened to me. And I try to include language that I taught at a previous lesson or language that emerged in a way, to provide that exposure, recycle language. We often just teach something and then we never teach it again. Students might forget. So I also try to recycle language with my teacher talk. And that's something I've been doing since then, something I think is quite practical for teachers to do in every lesson.
Yeah, okay. And you have examples of questions that you asked yourself as a teacher about your teacher talk. Could you give 1 or 2 examples of those questions for our readers?
Sure. For example, what types of questions, speaking of questions, what types of questions do we ask in the classroom, which can sometimes reveal how we view ourselves, as teachers. Display questions like testing students when we know the answer. What's the past form of go, for example? This kind of makes us, I think it's what Thornbury says, that we feel as like the authority in the classroom when we use these types of questions. And I don't view myself as the authority, to be honest. So I try to use more referential questions like meaningfully interacting with students. What are your plans for the weekend, right? Or what did you do last week? And so real questions rather than just testing them. And we can also understand things about how they use language through this interaction rather than using display questions and asking them what the past form of this verb is, etc. So that's one example.
Yeah, you could elicit the past in a proper
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay.
In a more meaningful way.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, you also made a really good point about wait time. Just really briefly, what's the idea there?
That's something that I learned from my tutor when I was doing Delta, when I observed her and I noticed that she gave students more think time than I gave them. And she also sat down, she didn't look like she was in a hurry. She was really calm. And I realized that maybe I looked a little bit more like I'm waiting for fast answers. And if there was this silence, I felt awkward. And I had to, speak myself or nominate another student. And it's strange because I've also been a language learner, and I've always been shy, not too quick to share what I think or speak in the classroom. So I realized that students need time to formulate first their thoughts in a second language, and then actually articulate them, actually speak in the classroom. It takes time. So the fact that we should wait more than 3 to 5 seconds, for example, was a revelation to me, because I don't think I waited more than 1 or 2 seconds. And I think most teachers do the same. So I remember my tutor just sat down patiently. She waited 5, 6 seconds, I don't know. And then students started sharing great ideas, and I was really impressed. So yeah, that was one of the things.
Oh, that's so true. That really resonates with me, that. And just one final question. This is, I believe, your first article for MET. And what was that experience like, writing for
It is my first, yes. And thank you very much for publishing it. It's been a really positive experience. And I got feedback from 2 colleagues. And like I said, even if it reached 1 person, it would be enough for me, right? So I got feedback from 2 colleagues saying that they can use the material in their teacher development sessions or teacher training courses, that it's practical. So I think this was the main, take away from me, the most rewarding part of writing for MET, that it reached a large audience and people actually found it useful and practical and can use it in their training sessions or courses.
Well, that's great to hear, and we'll look forward to your next article.
Okay, thank you very much.
Rachel, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Jono.
Bye.
Bye-bye.